Hello and welcome. In this video, we are going to be walking through the process of drafting a funding year 2023 Form 471 for your library. This video is for libraries that have a new internet contract or are using month-to-month services through their service provider. This video is for libraries that filed a Form 470 this year. If you have a multi-year contract for your library for those services, and that multi-year contract was established in a previous year, then we will have another video available on our YouTube archive channel that walks you through the process of filing Form 471 and associating it to that existing multi-year contract. But for now, let's start by signing in to the E-Rate Productivity Center portal. If it's been a while since you logged in, you may need to reset your password. Just as a reminder, in order to log in, you'll first need to go to usac.org and click on Sign In. That will take you to the splash page here. Click on Continue. And then enter your username, which will be your email address associated with your account here, and your password. If you have forgotten your password, please click on Forgot Password. Enter your email username and click on Reset via email. You'll receive a link at your email address through which you can reset your password and log in using that new password. If for some reason you find yourself in a loop or are having difficulties logging in, you may want to first and foremost try a different web browser. The E-Rate Productivity Center portal is optimized for Google Chrome, but you may also want to try Microsoft Edge if you're having issues with the web browser that you normally use. Today, we are going to be using a training version of the portal, so it's going to look a little bit different. But we're going to log in. Normally, when you sign in, you are going to also have a initial splash page that gives you options for where to enter. You are going to want to select the option that says E-Rate Productivity Center, EPC, and click on that button in order to enter the E-Rate Productivity Center, EPC. From here, in order to create a new Form 471, you can click on this button right here from My Applicant landing page. The FCC Form 471 button will create a new Form 471. However, if you are returning to a draft Form 471 you have already started, please click instead on Tasks, and you'll be able to find it in your list of tasks there. And I'll demonstrate that later with a draft copy that we create. In order to get back to my landing page, click on Reports and My Applicant landing page. And now let's start creating a FCC Form 471. Just as a reminder, if you created a new contract this year and filed a new Form 470 this year that resulted in that contract, you are, before filing this Form 471, you will need to create a contract record in the E-Rate Productivity Center portal. And we have another video available that walks through that process on our YouTube archive channel. But let's get started. The Form 471 starts with the nickname. We recommend including the name of your library in the nickname here. We're just going to name this library Sample Library. And we'll just add an underscore here. And we're going to include 2023 because this is for funding year 2023. Another underscore. And we're just going to say Cat 1, or you could do C1, you could do Internet. It really depends on your preference, but for the sake of this video, we'll format the nickname like that. Click on Save and Continue. Are you the main contact person? Yes. Yes, you are. And your name may not be super cool librarian, but your name, email, and phone number will show up here when you click on Yes. Under Holiday Summer Contact Information, please include LCT at e-ratecentral.com as the holiday and summer contact. That way, if for some reason you cannot be reached at your email address here, then reviewers can reach us at this email here over holidays and summer. Click on Save and Continue. On this page, you will select a category of service. This video is going to be demonstrating the process for Category 1 services only. If your library filed for Category 2 services, which includes internal connections, which is largely networking equipment for the distribution of internet broadband within the library, or basic maintenance of those internal connections, or managed internal broadband services, then you would click on Category 2. If you filed for Category 2 services, the current contract with Libraries Connecting Texas between E-Rate Central and the Texas State Libraries and Archives Commission currently only deals with Category 1 services. Click on Save and Continue. On this page, you'll have entity information, and this is going to allow you to review the information about your library's primary entity. If your library is an independent library, then you should only have the one line item here that shows the urban/rural status, total square footage, associated school district, and library attributes. All this information is relevant to the Category 2 funding budget that you have available to the library, as well as the associated school district is the basis for the discount rate that the library receives on its E-rate services. If your library has any annexes, you can click on View Annexes here. If you have a library system that has multiple child entity library branches under that system, this line here should only show the primary entity. So the name of the library system itself. When you click on Save and Continue, it's going to show related entities, and this is going to include if you have a library system, the individual library branches in that system. Because we are logged into a sample library portal for an independent library, there are no related entities for your organization here. But again, if you have a library system, please review these related entities and make sure everything looks correct. Go ahead and click on Save and Continue. This is the requested discount calculation. As I mentioned before, the associated school district full-time enrollments, NSLP count, and NSLP percentage are going to work in conjunction with the library's urban and rural status to determine the library's Category 1 discount rate and Category 2 discount rate. This is the amount that your eligible internet service can be discounted under E-rate. Click on Save and Continue. This is going to bring you to a page that includes all of your funding requests on the Form 471. Each funding request is going to include a specific eligible E-rate service on it. For this one, we are going to click on, because we don't have any funding requests here yet, click on Add FRN. And we now have an opportunity to create a funding request nickname to identify this FRN. Here you can enter something as simple as Internet 2023, or if you want to include your specific service provider, you could type in the name of the service provider here, and then 2023 to reflect that it's for 2023, funding year 2023 services, or 2023 to 2024 services. In this case, is this funding request a continuation of an FRN from a previous funding year? For this example, no. We have another video that reviews the process for filing a Form 471 if you have a multi-year contract, in which case that would be yes, and you could reference a previous FRN that was on a Form 471 in a previous year under that multi-year contract. But because if you're watching this video, you have a new internet contract or month-to-month services, and you filed a new Form 470 this year, you're clicking no. You will not want to click on Copy FRN. You should not have an existing funding request that reflects the same information because you went through a new procurement. Service type, there's only one option here, data transmission and or internet access. Click on continue. So here we have a couple of options. One, we can select a contract, and if you have a new contract as a result of filing the Form 470, and that's whether it's a 12-month contract or a multi-year contract that is 24 months or 36 months or 60 months, you can select contract. If you are under month-to-month services in this upcoming year, you will select month-to-month. For now, for this example, we're going to use contract. And we'll circle back to the month-to-month option. So this is now our opportunity to associate a contract. This is where we are going to reference a previously created contract record. Again, we have another video on our YouTube archive channel that reviews the process of creating a contract record in the EPC portal. When you get here, the organization BEN, and that's the build entity number, that is going to automatically populate here. That is the number that is associated with your library and identifies your library in the E-Rate Productivity Center. So since that automatically populates, you can simply click on search and it will show you all contract records created for your library's BEN. Here we have a number of options. This is a contract record that was created in that other video in which we go through that process. You can then select the appropriate contract record. And something of note here is because the award date is 1/11/2023, that's one of the easiest ways to identify if it's the appropriate contract record, because this video is covering a Form 471 that is for libraries that filed a Form 470 this year and created a new contract this year. So this is brand new. Below, the contract summary of the contract record is going to show up here. It will include information on the establishing Form 470, the service provider, whether there's voluntary extensions, the award date, the expiration date, if all voluntary extensions are applied, and the total remaining contract length if all voluntary extensions are applied. Below, we have the contract information, additional. These are required fields. What is the service start date? Unless your contract stipulates that the service start date is going to be later than July 1st, 2023, or for some reason the service cannot be installed and ready to add to the library until a later date, July 1st, 2023 is going to be the default option here. And that is because July 1st, 2023 is the first day of the funding year 2023. what is the date your contract expires for the current term of the contract? This is not taking into account voluntary extensions if you have them. So in the contract record example that we put forward with this contract above here, we imagined that that was a 36-month contract. So a 36-month contract that starts on July 1st of 2023 is going to end on June 30th of 2026. And something important to remember here is that you'll need to use a day, month, year, date format. And you can also use this calendar option to select the specific day from the appropriate month, year, and date. Click on Continue. Fiber request key information. Does this FRN include a request for any of the following eligible broadband options? Special construction, maintenance and operations, network equipment, and this is detailed in each of these options, but typically this is not going to be relevant to the vast majority of LCT libraries. Special construction may be applicable if there were one-time upfront costs associated with building out specifically leased lit fiber. And all these options may be applicable if leased dark fiber or self-provisioned fiber were procured by the library. But those are specific cases that likely do not apply to your library. If you're procuring normal bundled internet and transport services from a service provider, then you can just click on No. If special construction, maintenance, and operations or network equipment costs apply to you, please reach out to us at lct@e-ratecentral.com so that we can discuss. Please click on Continue. Narrative. The narrative is going to be a brief description of the products and services that are being requested. So take a look at your contract, and you can take a look at the download speed for that bandwidth. For this example, we'll say that it's 1 gigabit per second dedicated internet access. In some cases, a static IP is going to be a part of the contract. Please take a look at the proposal that you received and look at the contract and see if there's any costs associated with a static IP as part of the bundle, or whatever the case may be for the specific services that you've signed a contract for. But it can be as simple as that. Go ahead and click on Save and add FRN line items. And now we're going to add the specifics about that 1 gigabit per second dedicated internet access. So we don't have any FRN line items yet for this FRN. So let's add new FRN line item. And here we have, we're going to select the purpose of the FRN line item. internet access service that includes a connection from any applicant site directly to the internet service provider. This is dedicated internet access. This is going to be the option that is applicable to, that is most likely applicable to your library as an LCT library. Data connection between two or more sites entirely within the applicant's network, and data connection for an applicant's hub site to an internet service provider or state/regional network where internet access service is billed separately. Those are applying to data connection between two or more sites entirely within the applicant's network. If your library is an independent library, this is not going to be applicable. If you have a library system and you have a WAN circuit running between the different sites of the library system, then this may be applicable to you. Please reach out to us if so. Data connections for an applicant's hub site to an internet service provider or state/regional network where internet access service is billed separately, and internet access service with no circuit. These are services that are not bundled internet access and transport. So this would be transport only. This would be internet access only. These are not typical cases. These are options that are selected for specifically. So if you're an independent library receiving just a typical internet service, you'll want to select that top option there. Function. And this is going to look at the type of internet service that is coming to the library. If it's fiber, you'll want to select fiber. And you'll have a number of options for the different types of connections. Many of these are specific and niche cases. You can most likely select Ethernet as your option, fiber Ethernet. If you select, if copper wire is the mode by which internet gets to the library, you can select copper. And that, again, is most likely Ethernet. However, it may also be, may instead be digital subscriber line, or maybe cable modem. If you're uncertain, you can confirm with your service provider. You may also reach out to us, and if you're uncertain about the what it indicates in the proposal and the contract, then please reach out and we can discuss. For this example, we're going to select fiber, Ethernet, click on Save and Continue. And now we're looking at the download speed. So in our narrative and in the contract, again, the contract should indicate the download speed and upload speed. Because this is fiber, fiber is generally a symmetrical service. So the download speed should match the upload speed. And you'll see that it automatically populates with a 1 upload speed. If you're receiving cable services, cable Ethernet services, or a different type of service, then the upload speed is likely going to be less than the download speed. bear in mind that there's an option for units here. Megabits per second is less than gigabits per second. You'll want to select the proper Mbps or Gbps, depending on what bandwidth level you have. Burstable bandwidth. This is a niche case that is going to be applicable only if it indicates so in the contract. And this is not typical for libraries necessarily. It's something that may come up for entities that request bandwidth that can exceed the normal allotted bandwidth amount in bursts if need be. That is likely not applicable to your LCT library. Save and continue. So for this example, is this a direct connection to a single school, library, or a NIF, and that's a non-instructional facility for internet access? Yes. In this example, yes. For an independent library, public library such as yours, this is applicable. If you are working with a library system, a wide area network may be applicable for one or more of your FRN line items. If so, please reach out to us, our LCT team, and we can discuss. But for this, if it's again, a independent library, this is not going to be applicable. So you can click on no. Does this include firewall services? In some cases, a service provider may be providing firewall services as part of their internet contract, unless the contract indicates that a firewall service is being included as part of the service, then you want to click on no. So here we have the monthly cost associated with the 1 gigabit per second fiber Ethernet service to the library. This should again be included on the contract. If not the contract, then the award letter that referenced the proposal pricing that the service provider provided. Monthly recurring unit cost for this example, and this is going to be specific to you and your contract. For sample library that we're using here, we'll say $250 per month as eligible. For monthly recurring unit ineligible cost, 0. For monthly quantity, this is going to be 1 because there's only the single build circuit going to the library, the independent public library in this case. The monthly quantity may differ if you have a library system. One-time cost, if if there were installation costs or there will be installation costs associated with establishing the circuit to the library, you will want to include those here. Let's say that there was a $100 installation fee. We could include that as a one-time eligible cost here. one-time ineligible unit cost, we can include 0, and one-time quantity 1. But again, if there's no installation fee, or if there's no one-time costs associated with installing the service at the library, then you can make this 0, and you can make one-time quantity 0. And let's click on Save and Continue. Manage recipients of service. Is your library receiving the services in this FRN line item? For this sample library, which is an independent public library, there is only one entity in the system, so this is a yes. If you had a library system, this would be your opportunity to select the specific libraries in the system that are receiving this service. If some are not, you could separate those out. Again, reach out to us if you have any questions about your library system if you have multiple branches in that system. Please click on Save and Continue. And this just displays the recipients of service detailed on the previous page. Click on Save and Continue. And this is going to display the information on the line item that we just entered. So let's talk about additional costs that may be associated with your internet access services. We already have the line item for the internet access service itself with a total eligible FRN line item cost. But on the contract and in the pricing provided on the service provider proposal, you may have specific costs that are associated with either a static IP or with taxes and fees that are recurring. So let's add a new FRN line item to accommodate for some of those. Again, if your library is an independent public library with one branch, the internet access service that includes a connection from any applicant site directly to the internet service provider is going to be typically a appropriate option to select there. Under Function, let's take a look at Miscellaneous, and then under Type of Connection, it's a little bit of a misnomer because it's not really a connection, but it's just a subtype there. We have costs associated with installation, activation, and initial configuration, and taxes and US fees. So let's go ahead and select taxes and USF fees for the purposes of applying for the eligible taxes and fees, if there are any. If your organization is tax exempt, then this would not be applicable. Click on Save and Continue. And so because we're working with taxes and fees for the recurring services, they are going to be under the monthly cost section here. For one-time cost, we can zero those out. For monthly recurring unit cost, if there is not a specifically detailed tax or fee costs associated with your service, and your library is not tax exempt, just to cover your bases, you may elect to create a line item here to accommodate for, let's say, 10% of the cost of the service itself. So if you remember on our FRN line item for the Internet Access Service itself, we had put that as $250 each month. Again, this is going to be specific to your library's contract with the service provider. But in this example, that is $25 each month. And again, it may not be the case that there are going to be eligible taxes and fees associated with this service, but that just means that when it comes time to invoice for the eligible services, we can disregard this portion of it. Go ahead and click on Save and Continue. Again, manage recipients of service. For an independent public library, there's only the one site. Library systems have multiple. Save and Continue. And these are the recipients of service, the single independent public library. Save and Continue. All right. So there we have two line items now, one for the Internet Access Service and one for the approximated taxes and USF fees. If you do have a specific fee on your contract, then you can include that instead of an approximation. If you have costs associated with a static IP or a block of static IPs or something else that's related to your Internet Access Services, you can also reach out to our LCT team and we can discuss. Click on Save and Continue in order to bring us back to the list of FRNs. And we have the one FRN. So it's now at this point that we have two options here. We have Save and Share, or we have Review FCC Form 471. We with the LCT team would like to help you in having a chance to review and provide suggestions to you based on what you've filled out on the Form 471, just to make sure that there's no issues with typos or potentially an issue with certain costs not being included. We want to make sure that help you file everything with all the I's dotted and T's crossed. So what you have an opportunity to do here is click on Save and Share. And what that is going to do is it's going to save all your progress on the application here and then share the application with all users that are associated with your library. So that should be our entire LCT team in addition to yourself. And then that allows us to access the application in our side of the portal, and then we can help review it. And then once we've had a chance to help review it and provide you with those suggested edits or any questions that we might have about what you've entered here, we can save and share that back to you. Alternatively, if you click Review FCC Form 471, when you do so, it will create a draft copy of the Form 471. And then you can print out a copy of that draft Form 471 and then either email or fax a copy of that draft PDF to us. Save and share is maybe takes out a couple of steps, so that might be the better option. In either case, when you click on one of these options, it is going to bring up a window like this, and you'll click on Yes to proceed. And it's going to take about a full minute for it to show up in tasks here. Once it does, it is going to show up as a option like this, a task in your list. And if you clicked on Save and Share, it will look similar on our end for the users that are added to your library. And then we can take a look at it, open it up, and save and share it back to you once we've had a chance to look at it. And also, if for any reason you need to step away from the application and you have a partial draft, you can always go back to tasks in order to pick that back up. So let's go ahead and proceed with review FCC Form 471. And we'll want to click on Yes. It's going to create a PDF draft version. And this is going to take about, again, just a full minute before, maybe multiple minutes, depending on how busy things are in the portal. But we can click on refresh every 30 seconds or so. And once it's ready and has a draft version converted, we can download a version of the draft version by clicking on this blue link. And we can open up the draft version and review it for all the information that we entered. This is just a review of all the steps that we've taken prior to this. If you need to run the draft version of the Form 471 by your library board or any other governing authority for your library, you can download or print a copy of the draft and send that to them as well before you certify, if you need to. That's going to be specific to your library and your local procurement requirements. But yeah, if everything looks good on the draft, we can go back and start certifying. In order to certify, you'll need to click on the box, and then you'll see that this button down here, the Continue to Certification button, will light up, and you can click on Continue to Certification, and that is going to bring you to the certification page. In order to certify, you'll need to check both of these boxes. And if you have any questions about the certifications on this page, please don't hesitate to reach out to us and we can discuss your questions. Down here under Total Funding Summary, we need to update total budgeted amount allocated to resources not eligible for E-rate support. So this is by default 0. However, it is useful to update this information for accuracy's sake. And this can be a approximate amount. This is going to include the library's budgeted amount allocated for technology purposes outside of internet services. So if you have a budget that has been used for computers, printers, technology programs at the library, software, there's a large gamut of stuff there, then you can include a approximate amount there. We'll just go ahead and say for this year, $150 was budgeted there for the sample library. Again, that is going to be specific to your library. Are you receiving any of the funds directly from a service provider listed on any of the FCC forms 471 filed by this billed entity for this funding year? No. If for some reason you are receiving funds directly from a service provider listed on the form 471, please let us know, and we can discuss with you what your next steps would be to correct that. Has a service provider listed on any of the form 471 filed by this billed entity for this funding year assisted you in locating funds needed to pay your non-discounted share? Again, this should be no. And if for some reason the answer to that is yes, please reach out to us and we can discuss with you what your next steps would be to correct that. We now have a number of boxes that we will need to check. You'll need to certify each of these. And much like the certifications above, if you have any questions about these certifications, please don't hesitate to reach out to us. These go over a number of E-rate rules that are baked into the program, such as the 28-day minimum bidding period and the document retention of 10 years. Once you are ready to certify, please click on the Certify button, and that will bring up this window. And when you are ready, you can click on Yes. And we now have completed certification of this sample form 471. In order to print out a certified copy, if you need to send that to, well, you should retain a copy for your records first and foremost, but also if you need to send a copy to your library board or other governing body, please click here to access your certified FCC form 471 PDF, and that will download, well, that will take you to a summary of the form 471, and at some point we're going to be able to download it here, but let's just give it another minute, and we'll just need to refresh the page before it shows up there. And there we go. Now we have an option for the FCC form 471 original version, and we can click on this link to download that copy here. And there we have the certified copy. Following the certification of the form 471, you may receive outreach by a Program Integrity Assurance Reviewer. That's PIA. You would be receiving emails from them with inquiries that pertain to the information included on the form 471. For example, they may request a copy of the included on the Form 471 or any other information that they may need to validate about the Form 471. After the reviewer is done reviewing anything that they need to review and receiving any documentation they need from you, the Form 471 will go to a waive ready status, and historically the soonest waives for funding, these are released in funding waves following the close of the funding year 2023 window. You may see a funding commitment decision letter as early as April 2023 following the close of the window here. But until your application goes to waive ready status, be aware of any emails you receive. Check your spam and junk folders just in case. And if you have any questions about the program integrity assurance inquiries that you receive, please reach out to us at lct@eratecentral.com and our LCT team in general. And again, if you have any general questions, please reach out to us. Thank you for watching.